Elena Chen stared at the pregnancy test in her trembling hands, her heart pounding against her chest. 3 more tests lay scattered across her marble bathroom counter, all showing the same result. Positive. The word she never thought she'd see, not after years of doctors telling her she couldn't have children. She sank down onto the plush bathroom mat, her silk robe pooling around her. The morning sun streamed through the frosted window, casting a warm glow on her tear-streaked face. As the CEO of TechVision, one of the world's leading artificial intelligence companies, she was used to handling unexpected challenges. But this was different. Her phone buzzed. Another message from her assistant about the morning's board meeting. Elena took a deep breath, smoothed her dark hair, and stood up. She had built her company from the ground up, turning it into a $4.2 billion empire before turning 32. She could handle anything. Later that afternoon, sitting in her doctor's office, Elena learned that anything was about to become everything. "Ms. Chen," Dr. Zhang said, adjusting her glasses as she looked at the ultrasound screen. "I'm seeing something quite extraordinary here." She moved the wand across Elena's stomach, her expression growing more amazed by the second. "There aren't just 1 or 2 heartbeats." Elena's grip on the examination table tightened. "What do you mean?" "You're carrying quadruplets, 4 babies." Dr. Zhang turned the screen toward her. "Look here, here, and here. 4 distinct heartbeats." The room seemed to spin. Elena stared at the screen, watching the tiny fluttering movements. 4 babies. After being told she'd never have one, she was carrying 4. Back at TechVision's headquarters, Elena sat in her corner office, gazing out at the San Francisco skyline. The setting sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, but her mind was elsewhere. How would she manage 4 babies while running a company that employed thousands? Her hand unconsciously moved to her still flat stomach. A knock on her door interrupted her thoughts. "Come in," she called out. Her chief of security, Mr. Patel, entered with a concerned look on his face. "Ms. Chen, we've detected some unusual activity in our main server room. Someone's been trying to access restricted files." Elena straightened in her chair, CEO mode instantly activated. "Show me." As they reviewed the security footage, she noticed something odd. The attempted breaches occurred during odd hours, when most employees were gone. But more concerning was the pattern. Whoever was doing this knew exactly where to look. "It's someone with inside knowledge," she murmured, studying the data scrolling across her screen. "Run a full security audit, but keep it quiet. I want to know who's behind this before they realize we're onto them." Mr. Patel nodded and left, leaving Elena alone with her thoughts again. She opened her desk drawer and pulled out an old photo, herself as a young girl, standing between her parents. The photo was taken just months before the car accident that claimed their lives. Would they be proud of her now? What would they think about becoming grandparents to 4 babies at once? Her computer chimed with an incoming email. The subject line made her blood run cold. "We know your secret." Elena's hand shook as she clicked it open. Inside was a single sentence. "A mother's love makes her vulnerable." She immediately called Mr. Patel back to her office. As they traced the email's origin, they'd found it had been bounced through servers across 3 continents. Someone was going to great lengths to hide their identity. That night, as Elena's driver took her home, she noticed a black SUV following them. It stayed 3 cars behind, making every turn they did. Her driver, noticing her tension, took evasive action, making several unexpected turns until they lost their tail. Inside her penthouse apartment, Elena double-checked all the locks and security systems. As she made herself chamomile tea, having reluctantly given up coffee upon learning of her pregnancy, she heard a noise from her home office. Her heart raced as she carefully approached the room. The window was open, curtains billowing in the night breeze. She was certain she'd left it closed. On her desk lay a single white envelope. With trembling fingers, she opened it and found one photograph she'd never seen before, her parents, but the photo was dated 3 months after their supposed death. Elena sank into her desk chair, her mind racing. Could they still be alive? And why was this photo appearing now, just as she discovered her pregnancy and someone was targeting her company? Her phone rang, displaying an unknown number. After a moment's hesitation, she answered. "Elena." The voice was familiar yet distant, like a ghost from the past. Don't trust anyone. They're watching you. Protect those babies. They're more important than you know. The line went dead before she could respond. Elena spent the night reviewing security footage from her building, making calls to trusted contacts, and planning her next moves. As dawn broke over the city, she made two decisions. She would protect her babies at all costs, and she would uncover whoever was behind these threats. She placed her hand on her stomach, feeling a newfound strength surge through her. "We're going to be okay," she whispered to her unborn children. "I promise." As she prepared for another day at the office, Elena knew her life had changed forever. She was no longer just a CEO fighting corporate battles. She was a mother-to-be, protecting not only her company, but also the 4 tiny lives growing inside her. And somewhere out there, the truth about her parents and these threats was waiting to be discovered. 3 months into her pregnancy, Elena's usually pristine office was now dotted with snacks and comfortable cushions. Her morning sickness had finally subsided, but carrying quadruplets was already taking its toll. She'd learned to take frequent breaks between meetings, something that would have been unthinkable just months ago. Her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Check the R&D server logs from last night." Elena's instincts kicked in. She pulled up the logs on her computer and her heart sank. Someone had accessed their most sensitive AI research files at 3 a.m. The intrusion was sophisticated. They'd used valid credentials belonging to Dr. Zhao, her head of research. She called Dr. Zhao immediately. "Were you working late last night?" "No," he replied, sounding confused. "I left at 6. Is something wrong?" Before she could answer, her office door burst open. A woman with familiar features stood there, breathing heavily. Elena's grip on her phone tightened. It was her sister Lynn, whom she hadn't seen in 15 years. "You need to stop the Project Aurora launch," Lynn said without preamble. "They're coming for it." Elena ended her call, staring at her sister. Lynn looked different, harder, more weathered, but her eyes held the same determination Elena remembered from childhood. "How did you get past security?" Lynn smiled grimly. "The same way I learned about Project Aurora. You're not the only one with resources." Security guards appeared at the door, but Elena waved them away. Her mind raced with questions. Why had Lynn shown up now? How did she know about their most classified AI project? "You disappeared after Mom and Dad's funeral," Elena said, keeping her voice steady. 15 years without a word, and now you show up making demands." Lynn's expression softened. "I know you're pregnant, with 4 babies. That's why I'm here, to protect you and them." Elena instinctively placed a hand on her growing belly. "How do you know about my pregnancy?" "The same people who forced our parents into hiding are now after your AI technology. They have eyes everywhere." Lynn pulled out a tablet, showing Elena surveillance photos of herself at doctor's appointments, entering her building, meeting with investors. A chill ran down Elena's spine. "Our parents aren't dead." "No. They've been in witness protection. They uncovered something dangerous 15 years ago, a technology that could control global financial markets. The same group behind that technology now wants Project Aurora." Elena's head spun. She'd spent years grieving her parents, building her company as a way to make them proud. Now she learned they were alive. "Why should I believe you?" Lynn reached into her bag and pulled out a sealed envelope. "Mom gave me this before they went into hiding. Said to give it to you if you were ever in danger." Inside the envelope was their mother's jade pendant, the one she'd never taken off, not even for the supposed car accident that had killed her. Elena's hands trembled as she held it. "Your AI technology could help them tank entire economies," Lynn continued. "They'll stop at nothing to get it. And now with the babies," she left the threat unspoken. A notification popped up on Elena's computer, more unauthorized access attempts, this time targeting Project Aurora's core algorithms. Elena quickly initiated emergency protocols, locking down the servers. "We have a mole in the company," she said, checking the logs. "Someone's been feeding them information." Lynn nodded. "I can help you find them. But first, you need to understand what we're dealing with." Over the next hour, Lynn explained how their parents had discovered a shadow organization's plan to manipulate global markets using advanced AI. They'd gone into hiding to protect their daughters, believing separation was safer than staying together as targets. As Elena listened, pieces started falling into place. The recent security breaches, the threatening messages, the surveillance. Her hand remained on her stomach, feeling the slight flutter of movement from within. Your babies complicate things, Lynn said softly. They'll use them to control you if they can. Elena's protective instincts flared. Not if I stop them first. She pulled up Project Aurora's specifications, showing Lynn the safeguards she'd built into the system. It's designed to detect and prevent market manipulation. That's why they want it, to find a way around it. A crash from the outer office interrupted them. Elena's assistant ran in, panic on her face. The research lab, there's a fire. Security alarms blared throughout the building. Elena and Lynn rushed to the window, watching smoke rise from the research wing. Elena quickly accessed the emergency systems, initiating containment protocols. This is just the beginning, Lynn warned. They're sending a message. Elena straightened her shoulders, her mind already formulating plans. Then let's send one back. I'm not losing my company or my babies to them. She turned to her computer, fingers flying over the keyboard as she began implementing new security measures. Help me protect what matters, Lynn. Help me find out who's really behind this. Lynn squeezed her sister's shoulder. That's why I'm here. But Elena, there's more you need to know about our parents, about why they really disappeared. Before she could continue, Elena's phone rang. Dr. Jao. The fire was targeted, he reported. They destroyed specific servers. Someone knew exactly what they were after. Elena met her sister's eyes, seeing her own determination reflected there. After 15 years apart, they were finally reunited, but under circumstances neither could have imagined. With 4 lives growing inside her and her life's work under threat, Elena knew she had to uncover the truth about her family's past to protect her future. As fire trucks wailed in the distance and her employees evacuated the building, Elena made a silent promise to her unborn children. She would create a safe world for them, no matter what it took. But first, she needed to understand why her family had been torn apart 15 years ago and who was trying to destroy everything she'd built. The private hospital room was quiet except for the steady beeping of monitors. At 5 months, pregnant with quadruplets, Elena had been admitted for observation after experiencing concerning symptoms. Her laptop sat open on the bedside table, letting her run her company remotely while following doctor's orders to rest. Lynn paced by the window, her reflection ghosting against the nighttime city lights. I need to tell you the truth about that night, the night our parents disappeared. Elena adjusted her position, trying to get comfortable. Her pregnancy was already showing more than most single pregnancies at full term. I remember the police coming to the house, she said softly, telling us about the car accident. There was no accident, Lynn replied, turning to face her sister. That night, Mom and Dad discovered that AI research was being used to create a system that could predict and manipulate global catastrophes. They weren't just targeting financial markets, they wanted to control everything. A nurse entered to check Elena's vitals, interrupting their conversation. Once they were alone again, Lynn continued in a lower voice. The organization called themselves the Foundation. They'd approached our parents first as potential investors, but Mom and Dad realized what they were really planning. Elena's hand moved to her stomach as one of the babies kicked. Why didn't they go to the authorities? They did. That's when they discovered the Foundation had people everywhere. Police, government, major corporations. The only option was to disappear. Lynn pulled out an old flash drive. Mom gave me this before they left. I've never been able to decrypt it. Elena took the drive, turning it over in her hands. It looked like the ones her company had developed, with one crucial difference. This has our old family company logo on it, she said, remembering the small tech firm their parents had run before their disappearance. She plugged it into her laptop, her fingers flying over the keyboard as she worked to break the encryption. Years of coding and developing AI had taught her tricks that hadn't existed when the drive was created. As she worked, Lynn shared more details about that night. They split us up to protect us. You were sent to live with our aunt, focused on your education. They had me trained, differently. To watch, to gather information, to prepare for this moment. The encryption finally broke. The screen filled with lines of code, an early version of what would eventually become Project Aurora. Mom and Dad were working on this 15 years ago, and Elena whispered, They were trying to create a system to expose market manipulation, not enable it. A sharp pain shot through Elena's abdomen. She gasped, clutching her stomach. Lynn rushed to call for the doctor, but Elena grabbed her arm. "Wait, look at this." Hidden in the code was a message. "To our daughters, if you're reading this, you've reunited. The key to stopping them lies in completing what we started. The truth about the foundation is in the numbers." Dr. Zhang hurried in, concerned about Elena's pain levels. As she examined her patient, Elena and Lynn exchanged knowing looks. Their parents hadn't just disappeared. They'd left their daughters the tools to finish their work. "Your blood pressure is too high," Dr. Zhang said firmly. "You need complete rest. These babies are already at risk for premature birth." Elena nodded, but her mind was racing. The Foundation must have realized she'd unknowingly completed her parents' work with Project Aurora. That's why they were coming after her now. Later that night, while Lynn dozed in a chair, Elena's phone lit up with a message. It was from Mr. Patel. "Found something in the server logs. The breach came from inside your private office." Elena's breath caught. Only 3 people had access to her office: herself, her assistant, and she looked at her sleeping sister, doubt creeping in. Could Lynn be playing a deeper game? The babies moved restlessly, as if sensing her distress. Elena forced herself to breathe slowly, remembering Dr. Zhang's warnings about her blood pressure. She needed to think this through carefully. She began cross-referencing the server logs with the information from her parents' flash drive. As the pieces came together, her eyes widened. The Foundation's pattern was hidden in plain sight. They'd always struck after major market shifts, using the chaos to cover their tracks. A soft knock at the door made both sisters jump. A nurse entered with an elderly janitor. "Sorry to disturb you," the nurse said. "Just need to clean quickly." But Elena noticed how the janitor's eyes lingered on her laptop, how his hand moved slightly toward his pocket. Lynn noticed too. She was already moving, placing herself between Elena and the visitors. "Actually," Lynn said pleasantly, "my sister needs rest. Could you come back in the morning?" The nurse's smile didn't reach her eyes. "This will only take a moment." Elena quietly pressed the emergency call button as she closed her laptop. The janitor took a step forward, and then hospital security appeared in the doorway, responding to her call. The supposed cleaning crew left quickly, but the message was clear. The Foundation could reach them anywhere. "We need to move you somewhere safer," Lynn said once they were alone again. "Somewhere they won't expect." Elena shook her head. "No. I'm done running. Mom and Dad spent 15 years hiding. I won't do that to my children." She opened her laptop again, determined. "We're going to finish what our parents started. We're going to expose the Foundation." "It's too dangerous," Lynn protested. "Especially in your condition." "That's exactly why we have to do it now," Elena replied, her hand resting on her stomach. "I won't have my children born into a world where they have to look over their shoulders. We have what Mom and Dad didn't, a complete version of their system, my resources, and each other." As the night deepened, the sisters began forming their plan, but Elena couldn't shake the feeling that someone close to her was feeding information to the Foundation. The question was, who? At 30 weeks pregnant, Elena sat in her secure home office, monitoring her company's systems. The quadruplets were particularly active tonight, making it hard to concentrate. She'd been forced to work from home after the hospital incident, converting half her penthouse into a command center. A warning flashed across her main screen. Someone was attempting to breach TechVision's firewalls, but this time it was different. They weren't trying to steal data, they were attempting to shut down the entire network. "Lynn," she called out, wincing as she shifted in her chair. Her sister rushed in from the next room, immediately taking in the situation on the screens. "It's happening," Lynn said grimly. "They're making their move." Elena's fingers flew across the keyboard, trying to counter the attack. But something felt wrong. The pressure in her lower back was getting worse, and a strange dampness made her pause. She looked down to see a puddle forming at her feet. "Lynn," she whispered, fear creeping into her voice. "I think my water just broke." "The babies, they're coming too early." Lynn was already on the phone calling for help, but Elena grabbed her arm. "Wait." "The attack? It's not random. They knew this would happen. They're using my labor as a distraction." A sharp contraction hit, making Elena gasp. On her screens, the attack intensified. They're trying to access Project Aurora's core protocols, she managed through gritted teeth. Forget the company, Lynn insisted. We need to get you to the hospital. No. Elena fought through another contraction. If they get control of Aurora, they can crash the global economy. We can't let that happen. She pulled up her emergency protocols, the ones she prepared for exactly this scenario. The elevator to her penthouse pinged. Lynn moved to the security feed, then relaxed slightly. It's Mr. Patel with the medical team. But as the elevator doors opened, Elena noticed something on one of her monitors. A tiny detail that made her blood run cold. Lynn, wait, that's not. Too late. The doors burst open and 4 armed individuals in medical uniforms stormed in. Mr. Patel was with them, but his usual calm demeanor was replaced with cold efficiency. I'm sorry, Ms. Chen, he said, not sounding sorry at all. The Foundation sends their regards. Lynn moved with surprising speed, knocking over a lamp to create confusion. She managed to take down one intruder before being overwhelmed. Elena, despite her condition, had already initiated her final defense, a complete system lockdown that could only be reversed with her biometric data. Another contraction hit, stronger than before. Elena couldn't hold back a cry of pain. Get her to the extraction point, Mr. Patel ordered. The babies are our priority now. The babies? Elena gasped between contractions. What do you want with my children? Mr. Patel smiled coldly. Your parents' genetic modifications made you special, Ms. Chen. Your children will be even more valuable. Imagine 4 humans with naturally enhanced cognitive abilities raised by the Foundation. Elena's mind raced. Genetic modifications. What had her parents done? But she couldn't focus. The contractions were coming faster now. Suddenly, the lights went out. Emergency alarms blared throughout the building. In the chaos, Lynn broke free from her captors. She moved like a shadow in the darkness, years of training evident in every motion. Elena felt strong hands helping her up, but these were gentle, familiar. Mom, she whispered in disbelief. Shay, her mother's voice came softly. We need to move quickly. Through the darkness, Elena glimpsed her father engaging with the intruders alongside Lynn. They moved with coordinated precision, like they'd trained for this moment for years. Another contraction made Elena double over. The babies, she gasped. They're really coming. That's why we're here, her mother said, leading her toward a hidden panel in the wall. We've been watching, waiting for this moment. We knew the Foundation would make their move when you were most vulnerable. The hidden door led to a secure medical facility disguised as a maintenance level. Real medical staff waited there. Elena recognized Dr. Zhang among them. Your parents contacted me months ago, Dr. Zhang explained as they rushed Elena into a delivery room. We've been prepared for this. Outside, they could hear the sounds of struggle. Lynn and their father were holding off the Foundation's team, buying them precious time. Elena's mother stayed by her side, gripping her hand through each contraction. The genetic modifications, Elena managed between contractions. What did you do to us? Her mother's eyes filled with tears. We were trying to help humanity evolve naturally, to be better. But the Foundation wanted to use it for control. That's why we had to hide, to protect you girls until you were ready. Elena screamed as another contraction hit. On a nearby screen, she could see her company's system still under attack. Even in labor, her mind worked frantically to protect Project Aurora. Focus on the babies, Dr. Zhang instructed. Your system lockdown is holding. They can't break it without you. Hours passed in a blur of pain and intensity. Finally, the sound of a baby's cry pierced the air, followed quickly by another and another and another. 4 tiny lives, born 6 weeks early but fighting strong. As Elena held her daughters and son for the first time, her family gathered around her. Lynn sporting fresh bruises, their father looking older but still strong, their mother crying tears of joy. Mr. Patel and his team had been subdued and arrested by legitimate authorities. They're perfect, Elena whispered, looking at her babies. And they're safe. But she knew this wasn't over. The Foundation would try again. They had to end this once and for all. Looking at her reunited family and her newborn children, Elena felt a new determination. These babies deserved a world free from shadow organizations and hidden threats. It was time to bring everything into the light. Her mother squeezed her hand, understanding in her eyes. Together, she promised. We'll finish this together. The private wing of the hospital had been transformed into a fortress. 2 weeks after giving birth, Elena sat in a rocking chair, cradling her smallest daughter while watching her other 3 babies sleep peacefully in their specialized incubators. Despite being premature, they were thriving, showing remarkable development that amazed even the experienced medical staff. Her mother sat nearby, keeping watch while Lynn and their father secured the perimeter. They all have your eyes, her mother said softly, but I see your father's determination in their little faces. Elena studied her daughter's delicate features. Tell me about the genetic modifications. I need to understand what makes them so special. Her mother sighed, moving closer. Years ago, we discovered a natural mutation in certain human genes that enhanced cognitive development. Instead of trying to artificially replicate it, we found a way to activate these dormant genes that exist in everyone. You and Lynn were our proof that it could work naturally safely. And my babies? Elena asked, gently stroking her daughter's cheek. The traits are hereditary. Your children will have enhanced abilities, faster learning, better pattern recognition, stronger intuition. The Foundation wants to use them to create their perfect controlled society. A soft knock interrupted them. Dr. Zhang entered with the latest test results. The babies are remarkable, she said, showing them the charts. Their brain development is unlike anything I've seen. But there's something else you should know. Elena listened intently as Dr. Zhang explained how each baby showed slightly different enhanced traits. One demonstrated extraordinary pattern recognition, another showed signs of advanced emotional intelligence, the third had incredible memory retention, and the fourth displayed remarkable problem-solving abilities even at this early stage. They're not just special, Dr. Zhang concluded. They're uniquely gifted in complementary ways. Elena's phone buzzed. A secure message from her company's acting CEO. The Foundation's attack had been stopped, but they'd discovered something disturbing in Mr. Patel's files. They hadn't just been after Project Aurora. They'd been planning to use it alongside Elena's baby's enhanced abilities to create an unprecedented system of social control. They wanted to combine Aurora's predictive capabilities with naturally enhanced human intelligence, Elena realized. They could have controlled everything, markets, governments, society itself. Her mother nodded grimly. That's why we went into hiding. We couldn't let them use our research that way. But now, she looked at the babies. Now we have a chance to use these gifts the right way. A commotion outside drew their attention. Lynn burst in, looking worried. They found us. Foundation operatives are in the hospital. They've cut off all communications. Elena quickly but carefully placed her daughter in the incubator with her siblings. Her caesarean scar still hurt, but adrenaline pushed the pain aside. How long do we have? Minutes, Lynn replied, helping Elena to her feet. Dad's trying to delay them, but they came prepared. Dr. Zhang stepped forward. The backup plan. We need to do it now. Elena nodded, forcing herself to think through the fear. They'd prepared for this, had contingencies in place. Her fingers flew across her tablet, activating Project Aurora's hidden protocols, the ones she'd designed while on bed rest, inspired by her parents' original research. Mom, stay with the babies. Lynn, help me get to the server room. Elena pulled up the hospital's layout on her tablet. We're going to give the Foundation exactly what they want and use it against them. They moved quickly through the hospital's service corridors, Elena fighting through her physical discomfort. In the server room, she connected directly to her company's mainframe. Lines of code filled the screens as Project Aurora came fully online. What are you doing? Lynn asked, standing guard. Making a choice, Elena replied, entering complex commands. They want to use enhanced intelligence to control people. Let's show them what it can really do. Through the hospital's security feeds, they watched Foundation operatives moving closer. But Elena remained focused on her task. She was combining her parents' research with Aurora's capabilities in a way no one had anticipated. Done, she announced just as footsteps approached their location. Now we show them what real evolution looks like. The door burst open. Foundation agents rushed in, weapons raised. But Elena smiled, pressing one final key. Across the world, Project Aurora activated not as a control system, but as its opposite. The program began exposing the Foundation's manipulations, revealing their operations in ways they couldn't hide or deny. Every financial transaction, every secret communication, every hidden agenda became visible. "You don't understand what you've done," the lead agent growled. "No, you don't understand," Elena replied calmly. "My children aren't weapons for you to use. They're the future, a better future. One where enhanced abilities help humanity grow, not control it." Suddenly, the agent's communications devices erupted with urgent messages. Their hidden accounts were being exposed. Their secret facilities were being discovered. Everything they'd built was unraveling. As legitimate authorities stormed the hospital, Elena leaned against Lynn, exhausted but triumphant. "Let's get back to my babies." In the secure wing, they found their mother singing softly to the quadruplets while their father stood guard. All 4 babies were awake now, their eyes bright and alert in a way that seemed beyond their weeks. Elena gathered her children close, her family surrounding them protectively. "They'll grow up knowing who they are," she declared, "not as weapons or tools, but as people with gifts meant to help others." Her mother squeezed her shoulder, "And they'll have all of us to guide them." Looking at her babies, Elena saw not just the genetic enhancements or the remarkable abilities, but the simple miracle of new life. They would face challenges growing up with their unique gifts, but they would face them together, surrounded by love and understanding. The Foundation had tried to use evolution as a weapon. Instead, Elena and her family had turned it into a bridge to a better future. As she held her children, she knew their story was just beginning. And this time, it would be told in the light, not hidden in shadows. 6 months had passed since the confrontation at the hospital. Elena's quadruplets were growing fast, each showing their unique gifts in subtle ways. The nursery in her penthouse had become a warm, loving space filled with soft lights and gentle music. One morning, while feeding her youngest daughter, Elena watched the other 3 babies interact. The way they communicated without words, how they solved simple puzzles together, fascinated her. Their enhanced abilities were developing naturally, guided by love rather than manipulation. Her tablet chimed with an urgent message. Despite the Foundation's exposure, some elements had gone deeper underground. They'd discovered a hidden facility in a remote mountain region, still working on duplicating her parents' research. "They're not giving up," Lynn said, entering the nursery. She'd moved in to help with the babies and security. "Our sources say they're trying to create artificial versions of the genetic modifications." Elena gently placed her daughter back in her crib. "Then it's time for the next phase." They'd been preparing for months, gathering evidence and building a network of allies. Elena's company had transformed too, focusing on using technology to protect and enhance human potential rather than control it. Her parents arrived for their daily visit, bringing new research data. They've been working to understand the full scope of the genetic modifications, hoping to help other families with naturally enhanced children. "The latest tests are remarkable," her father said, showing them his findings. "The baby's abilities aren't just growing, they're evolving in ways we never imagined. They're developing natural shields against manipulation and control." Elena watched her children play. They're protecting themselves, she realized. Their enhanced genes are adapting to counter threats. A security alert flashed on their screens. Someone had tried to breach their new defense systems. But this time, something unexpected happened. The babies, all 4 of them, turned toward the screens simultaneously, their eyes focused with unusual intensity. The breach attempt stopped instantly, the attacking systems completely shut down. Elena and her family stared in amazement. "Did they just?" Lynn began. "They worked together to stop it," Elena's mother whispered. Their different abilities complementing each other perfectly. Elena moved to the cribs, touching each baby gently. "They're showing us the way," she said softly, "not through control or force, but through cooperation and natural development." Her tablet lit up with more alerts. The Foundation's hidden facility was mobilizing. They were planning something big, a last desperate attempt to seize what they couldn't create. "We need to end this," Elena declared. "Not just for our family, but for every child born with these gifts." They gathered in Elena's home office, the babies safely watched by trusted caregivers. Elena pulled up Project Aurora's latest version, enhanced by months of development and insights gained from observing her children. The Foundation thinks enhanced abilities are about power, she said, typing rapidly. They don't understand it's about connection, about making the world better together. Her father studied the code she was writing. You're not just exposing them, he realized. You're showing everyone the truth about natural enhancement. Elena nodded. People fear what they don't understand. Once they see these abilities can develop naturally, that they're meant to help humanity evolve together rather than create superiority. A warning bled through their security systems. Foundation operatives had been detected approaching the building. But this time, Elena was ready. Let them come, she said calmly. It's time they saw what real evolution looks like. As security teams moved to protect the building, Elena activated her new protocol. Project Aurora began broadcasting worldwide, not just exposing the Foundation's activities, but showing the beautiful potential of natural enhancement. Videos of her babies learning and growing, medical data showing the safety of natural genetic activation, research proving these abilities existed within all humans, everything went public. The Foundation's strike team burst into the building, but found themselves facing not just physical security, but a wave of public awareness. Their own operatives began standing down as the truth spread. In the nursery, the quadruplets remained calm, almost serene. Their enhanced awareness seemed to sense the change happening around them. They're not afraid, Lynn observed. They know they're safe. Elena gathered her children close as reports flooded in. Around the world, people were discovering their own latent abilities. Parents of enhanced children were coming forward, forming support networks. The Foundation's fear-based control was crumbling in the face of hope and understanding. This is what Mom and Dad were trying to protect, Elena told Lynn as they watched their parents with the babies. Not just the genetic modifications, but the chance for humanity to grow naturally together. The Foundation's last facility surrendered that evening. Their remaining leaders, faced with global exposure and understanding, had no choice but to stop their attempts at control. Elena stood by the nursery window, holding her youngest while the other three slept peacefully. The city lights sparkled below, seeming brighter somehow, more full of promise. They'll grow up in a different world, she said softly to her daughter. One where their gifts are understood, not feared. Where enhancement means cooperation, not control. Her family gathered around her, each holding one of the babies. They'd fought so hard to protect these children, to ensure they could develop naturally and safely. Now they would help guide others on the same journey. The tablets and screens around them showed messages pouring in from around the world, parents seeking guidance, researchers offering help, communities forming to support enhanced children. Elena looked at her sleeping babies, their peaceful faces holding such incredible potential. The Foundation had tried to use evolution as a weapon, but these innocent children had shown a better way. Their natural abilities, developing through love and understanding, were lighting the path to humanity's true future. As night fell over the city, Elena and her family stayed close, protecting and celebrating not just their victory, but the dawn of a new era, one where human potential could flourish naturally, guided by love instead of fear. 1 year had passed since the Foundation's collapse. Elena stood in her children's playroom, watching her quadruplets demonstrate their remarkable abilities in their own innocent ways. The eldest was building complex structures with blocks, understanding physics instinctively. The second was comforting a younger visitor who had scraped her knee, showing extraordinary empathy. The third was already reading picture books meant for much older children, while the youngest was solving puzzle games on a special tablet. Their development had become a source of hope and inspiration for families worldwide. Elena's home had transformed into both a sanctuary and a center for understanding enhanced abilities. Today, they were hosting their monthly gathering for parents of enhanced children. It's amazing how far we've come, Lynn said, helping a young enhanced child with his drawing. The boy's artwork showed remarkable detail and depth for his age. Remember when we had to hide all of this? Elena smiled, adjusting her youngest daughter's tablet settings. Sometimes I still can't believe we're here. That we can be open about who we are, what we can do. Her parents entered the room, bringing news from their latest research conference. The worldwide network of scientists studying natural enhancement had made breakthrough discoveries about how these abilities manifested and developed. The most exciting part, her father explained, showing Elena the data, is how unique each child's gifts are. No two enhanced individuals develop exactly the same way. It's like nature ensuring we all have something special to contribute. A group of parents gathered around, listening intently. Among them was the former Foundation operative who had helped expose the organization's final plans. She now worked with Elena's company, helping identify and protect enhanced children. "My daughter started showing signs last week," one mother shared. "I was scared at first, but seeing your children, how happy and normal they are despite their gifts, it gives us hope." Elena watched as her quadruplets naturally gravitated toward the other children, each connecting in their own way. Their abilities complemented each other perfectly, creating a harmony that spread to those around them. Her tablet buzzed with updates from Project Aurora, now transformed into a global support network. Reports showed enhanced children excelling in schools worldwide, their gifts helping lift up their classmates rather than creating division. "We're seeing something remarkable," Elena's mother observed, watching the children play. "These abilities, they're not just making individuals stronger, they're bringing people together." The room buzzed with activity as more families arrived. Elena moved through the groups, offering guidance and support. Her journey from isolated CEO to mother of enhanced quadruplets had given her unique insight into helping others navigate this new reality. "The key is balance," she explained to a concerned father. "Let their gifts develop naturally, but remember their children first. They need love, play, and normal experiences just like any other kid." Her youngest daughter toppled over, holding up her tablet. She'd not only solved the puzzle, but had discovered a new way to approach it. Elena picked her up, heart swelling with pride and love. "That's wonderful, sweetheart," she said, kissing her daughter's forehead. "Want to show the other children how you did it?" The little girl nodded eagerly, and Elena set her down to join a small group of children. Within moments, they were all engaged in learning her new method, enhanced minds working together naturally. Lynn approached with a gentle smile. "Remember when we thought we had to protect them from the world? Now they're teaching the world about protection and cooperation." A familiar face appeared at the door, Dr. John, who had helped deliver the quadruplets. She came regularly to document their development and help other doctors understand enhanced children's unique needs. "Their latest checkups are fascinating," she reported. "Their abilities continue to grow, but always in harmony with their emotional and physical development. It's like watching evolution in real time, but guided by love and understanding." As evening approached, families began saying their goodbyes. Elena's children gathered around her, tired but happy. Each showed their affection in their own special way, one through a complex pattern of hugs, another by sharing a newly learned word, the third by organizing everyone's shoes perfectly, and the youngest by solving one last puzzle while cuddled in her mother's lap. Her parents and Lynn helped clean up, while Elena settled the quadruplets for bed. The nursery, once a fortress against threats, was now a peaceful haven filled with books, toys, and learning tools adapted to their unique needs. "Mummy," her eldest asked sleepily, "are there more children like us?" Elena tucked her in gently. "Yes, sweetheart. Many children are special in their own ways. That's what makes the world beautiful." As her children drifted off to sleep, Elena stood in the doorway, reflecting on their journey. The Foundation had tried to control evolution, to force it into a weapon. Instead, these innocent children had shown how natural enhancement could bring out the best in humanity. Her family joined her, watching the peaceful scene. Together, they had transformed a story of fear and hiding into one of hope and open understanding. The quadruplets would grow up in a world that celebrated their gifts rather than feared them. "We did it," Lynn whispered, squeezing her sister's hand. "We actually did it." Elena nodded, her heart full. The future they'd fought for was here, not a future of control and manipulation, but one of natural growth, understanding, and love. Her children would lead the way, showing the world that true evolution came from cooperation, not competition. As night fell over the city, the soft glow of the nursery night lights cast peaceful shadows. Elena's enhanced family had found their place in the world, and in doing so, had helped countless others find theirs too. The story that began with fear and danger had transformed into one of hope, love, and the endless possibilities of human potential.